Okay, everybody, looks like we are now we are live. Hello everybody. I am Yo Senpai, also known as UnFantasmaMas, and this is Donald Duck Going Quackers. The time is gonna start once I take the control of Donald, so we're gonna wait like another 20 seconds, and then I'm gonna explaining all that I'm gonna do. And okay, then run is gonna start right now. Okay, so as I've said before, this is Donald Duck Going Quackers, and this is a game released for many consoles. But this is specifically the PS1 release. This game was designed by Disney Interactive, and it was distributed by Ubisoft, talking about the PS1 version and also other releases. This game has different versions. In total, it has 5 versions. But we're just gonna talk about the home console versions, which are I'm gonna name them as version 1, version 2, and version 3. Version 1 is Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast, and PC release. Second version is the PlayStation release, and the third version is the PlayStation 2 and GameCube release. In this case, we are showcasing the second version of the game, which is the PlayStation release, and the category is any version PS1 for obvious reasons. The plot of the game is that Daisy was working as a TV reporter, and she was doing a live broadcast since the evil wizard Merlock died, but then Merlock discovered her and kidnapped her. So now it's time for Donald to go to rescue her, but before he can do that, he needs to travel around the world collecting some energy orbs that is gonna be useful for the Gyros warping machine, and in order to help him to move to the evil wizard Merlock path. So, as Boyd said before, this is kind of goofy Crash Bandicoot, or well, childish or toddler Crash Bandicoot game. Believe me, when you play this game casually, it can feel so easy and so simple, but the real nightmare with this game starts when you do the speedrun. So you're gonna expect some few deaths here, because sometimes the physics of this game are kinda weird. That can make that mistake and lose some lives. I hope that doesn't happen today, that on this run anything awful happens. So the point of this category, which is any percent for the PS1, is just to go through the internet any percent route, which consists in beat all 4 stages and get all the orbs of the game, and then beat each boss until you reach the last boss, which is obviously Merlock. And so during all the game you're gonna be watching, and I'm gonna try to get all these orbs. These are so easy to get. There are just some few of them that are kinda tricky, or well, are correctly hid. So it doesn't matter if I beat the stage. It's gonna matter if I beat the stage, but if I don't get an orb, because that's gonna force me to repeat the stage. Hopefully I'm not gonna be forced to do that. The full competition of the version of this game is the 112%. Which consists in getting all the orbs, make some time trials, and get all the toys from the Donald Nephews, and obviously beat the stage that the Donald Nephews unlocks when you give them their toys. And it's good that we're not gonna play these stages because they're kind of auto-scrollers, but I just needed to say that in order to explain a bit this. So the basic movement here is just keep walking. It doesn't matter if I use the analog stick or the D-pad, the speed is the same. I have been doing some tests, so depending on the place that I am or the view perspective, since there are some 2D side-scrolling stages, I'm gonna be switching between both analog and D-pad. Also, I can give a punch to the enemies if I'm walking on the floor, but if I'm on the air, I can kick them. And also, as you can see, there are some milkshakes during the game. So if I'm on this regular mood, which is the normal dog, or well, as I like to call it, and I take the milkshake, I'm gonna be on an invincibility pace for some seconds. But if I receive damage, I'm gonna be into the Mad Dog pace if I'm on the regular pace. But if I'm in the mad pace and the mad mood, and then I just catch the milkshake, I'm gonna be back into the regular pace. So I hope that this doesn't happen. Maybe it's gonna happen on the third part of the game. There are a total of 4 warp rooms. Each warp room has 4 stages that we need to beat and the boss fight. I'm gonna notice. Notice me, Go Senpai, I have noticed you, Master, and I have noticed boys, I have noticed a lot of people here. Also, shoutouts to the previous runner that unfortunately I have forgot his name, that make a shoutout of this run before it can start. I just watched the first part of this run because I haven't beaten Super Paper Mario. I got stuck on a desert stage since 2013 and I don't remember which stage it was, but I wasn't able to complete it. Maybe one of these days I'm gonna beat that game because I really like it. But this day it's not gonna be the day because right now I'm trying to get Quackers with Donald. So as I said before, these are the kind of 2D stages that the game has. It's gonna be pretty simple in this first part. The real challenge is gonna start on this next warp room. Now we're on the forest. On the next warp room we're gonna be in the city. And here is mostly to understand how to play the game and to learn the basics of the game, mostly. Because also for some reason this game has a kind of weird 3D moving range and at the same time has weird physics. So sometimes I'm gonna be trying to do some risky movements that probably it's gonna look like if I were doing something really normal. But the case is not like this because sometimes it's gonna look like if I'm gonna be able to do some movements, some jumps, some kind of tricks. But as I've said before, the game has a kind of weird hitbox section for the enemies, or also weird I forget the word. I hope that the people can apologize me since I'm not used to speaking English. It's not my principal language, but I'm trying to do my best. But what I'm trying to say is that the physics of this game are really weird and sometimes can be tricky and troll. Maybe starting the third warp room we're gonna see these trolling moments, and I hope that we really don't watch them because it's gonna make me waste a huge amount of time. And that's another negative point of running this game, because if you die, you're gonna lose a huge amount of time in the game, and if you keep repeating the deaths, if you keep dying, you're gonna see a funny animation with Donald that he's gonna watch the screen, who's gonna watch the player, we have it on the correct position, then he's gonna be mad, he's gonna take his hat, he's gonna throw it to the floor, and he's gonna be yelling. It's funny, so I hope that doesn't happen during the run. It will be fine to see, but for now I hope that nothing like that happens, really. And, well, Dangerous Clip, which is the fourth and last stage of this zone, makes us more kind of tricks and strats that I'm gonna be trying to apply on the game. As you're gonna see in some parts, I'm not gonna be jumping because I'm gonna prefer to fall down. Sometimes I'm gonna use some boxes that has these stars or some books in order to jump over them and save a little amount of time, trying to avoid some obstacles that we're gonna see, like we have seen before. And this is gonna be so helpful, like also and the way that I have catch the orb on the previous stage, because the intended way in that moment was to wait until the platform spawn goes down, but I haven't waited for it, and well, I received damage, so this is not gonna be good. Now I'm gonna try to play kinda carefully, kinda safe. And believe me, the real challenge of this game when you run it is just don't die. So I hope that I don't have any deaths during the run. There was a milkshake there, but I'm just gonna lose time. And I hit that enemy kinda earlier. I was lucky into defeating him, otherwise I should have died. That was gonna be something really bad since I'm close to the end of the stage. And there we go, this is the end, and now it's time to go through the first boss of the game, which is Bernadette. On Bernadette's Peak, and here is a little way to optimize this boss fight, and in case that somebody want to run this game or is starting to run this game, it's gonna be something really helpful, because the way that you defeat her, it's that she's gonna fall down on the floor 3 times and you need to keep moving in order to avoid her. But what I'm gonna do is trying to keep her on the same spot. So first, what she's gonna do is to throw some eggs. 2 chickens are gonna spawn. The chickens are RNG based. I got a very good RNG here, honestly. So now she's gonna start to move. She's gonna fall 1 time, and I'm gonna keep on this corner, 3, and on this 4th time, I just make a double jump and I hit her. With this, I save a little amount of time because it's supposed that I just need to keep moving in order to avoid her. So now again, 4 eggs is gonna fall down, and another 2 chickens are gonna fall. And again, this was a pretty good RNG, a very decent one I should say, because sometimes the chickens spawn so far away from me. Okay, that was a little mistake. That was so close to be a good choke, I should say, because she started to move. Fortunately, she hasn't moved so much, so that was something really amazing. And now 4 chickens are gonna spawn. I focus on this 3, and then this last one, I'm gonna try to keep her again on the same spot. Let me see if I can do that. Okay, there we go. 3, and there we go. First boss defeated. That was Bernadette's peak. Not a big deal to defeat this boss, but trying to keep her on the same spot can be something really tricky, something really difficult sometimes. And now that I got all the orbs from this zone, I'm gonna be able to move to the second zone of the game, which is the big city. And again, we're gonna see some kind of mixing between 2D and 3D platforming. And also on this section, I prefer to. Okay. That's another problem with the physics of the game, because sometimes I can be over the warping paths, but the game's not gonna recognize it. And when I press the cross button in order to enter them, Donald is gonna start to jump. That's another way to lose time here. And I forgot what I was gonna say, so I hope that I can remember it. And the reason why I have forget that is because Just Duck wanted to jump instead of going through the warping paths. Okay, I remember. Every time that I beat a boss fight, a boss stage, sorry, well, it's the same anyways, I'm gonna wait until I watch the animation where the next warping room is opened and when Donald spawns. Otherwise, if I... Oh, okay, thank you. If I press the moving button to make the Donald comes to the screen in order that I can be back into the warping room, and I'm gonna lose time because he's gonna move in the opposite direction for some reason. And it's gonna make me wait between half a second to 1 second. That depends about Doc. It doesn't depend about the game, because Doc sometimes is really mad with the player for some reason and doesn't wanna recognize your inputs. So in this section again we see this mixing between the 3D point of view and also the side-scrolling movements. And if we time correctly our movements, like in that section, you just can't keep moving without jumping, and that's gonna help us to save some time. Fortunately, that dog makes some damage to this dog, so trying to skip the last dog is gonna be something tricky if I don't wanna lose lives. If everything goes fine, I'm not gonna die. And for some reason, these big enemies that it's supposed that you need to kick them in order to make them they fall down and you can jump and you're using their stomachs hasn't went down correctly. And now I was able to hit the last dog there and catch the orb. And for the newcomers from this game, on the next stage we have the first problematic orb. These problematic orbs are the ones that are excuse me, Doc, thank you. The ones that are kinda hidden, or sometimes there are other elements on the screen that can make that the player gets distracted and forget that they need to go for the orb, or well, that they doesn't put attention to the orb. And I say that because I haven't been the only runner who has got this problem. On my first runs I used to have this issue a lot of times. That's the reason why I have decided to call this stage as explosive orb on my splits. Sometimes I will try to save some time doing some earlier jumps in some sections, But at the same time I need to be careful because as I've said before, the physics of this game sometimes doesn't cooperate with the player, since the game in some moments cannot recognize that you land in some section, but at the same time, if you are lucky and you make a correctly timed jump in that corners, you can save your life and keep going. Otherwise the game's gonna make that we lose a life. And this is the first problematic orb, because that life sometimes distracts to the players. And what do you need to do is just to hit the TNT in order to break the door that hides the orb that we need to beat this stage. And now we're reaching to the end of the stage. So we are now on a half of our way to reach the boss fight. UV roof troops can be another of that first stages that can be sometimes annoying for some players. Mostly because you are gonna do some risky jumps and tricky strats in order to save a little amount of time. Plus the fact that there's a lot of enemies and obstacles during this stage. So if everything goes fine, I'm gonna be able to beat this at the first attempt. Because recently on my practices I have started to fail this stage and I don't know why. Because it's not supposed that I fail this a lot on these stages. But this can be also a good explanation, a good example about the awful physics that the game has. Like with that tubes that take sounds of some steam. You can try to do some risky jumps, trying to avoiding them, but the game can be troll sometimes. So maybe I'm gonna try to keep quiet for a bit, because this stage requires a huge amount of concentration. I suppose that steam can be avoided if you make a correctly timed jump, but it just saves some seconds. But for marathon purposes and for safeness, I decided to wait a bit. I just had to wait some milliseconds, not a big deal, honestly. Okay, that was a tricky steam. Now I'm gonna try to be a bit safely at this point. I'm gonna wait until that steam. Okay, that was an awful jump, and oh my god, I really hate when this happens. Because there's a big distance between checkpoints. It's not like in another platforming games on the era that has checkpoints, that there's a lot of checkpoints so close to them. And again, I failed in accuracy damage. Sometimes also you cannot get the correct cycles. Okay, 1, 2, okay, I was able to avoid them, but now the complicated section is gonna come. And you have seen, I was close to the checkpoint, and that kills me a huge amount of time. And the worst part of this is that, if I remember correctly, there's no milkshakes here. And this is the most complicated section of the game. Okay, I am aware that I hit that guy. And yes, this is a good way to waste time. But at least a good part of this is that the lives are not a big problem, because as you have seen, I have gained a lot of lives up to this point. It's so easy to get lives on this game. That's a good point. You want to start to run this. I'm sure that I have hit that guy, and it sucked because I was close to the end of the stage. So if my knowledge of this game is correct, that mistake makes me waste like 1 minute. And it's kinda complicated to save some time in this game once you died, unless you still having time to save on later stages. That it's my situation. My PB for this game is 5111 for this category, and actually I'm the only console runner of this game. That's another problem with this title, because as we know, since this is a PS1 game, most of the PS1 games are run on a PS2 console, since it has a mode called Fast Speed, which helps to make that the disc spins more faster, and with it you can reduce the loading times. And that's another problem that this game has, because with FDS activated you get something that I like to call extended loading screens. That makes that for some reason the game takes more time, takes some longer to load the next stage or where that makes that the game takes more time to make that the loading screens appears. I'm running this game on a 90K model of a PS2, which is considered as the best model for most of the PS1 games. And recently another runner, Master Low Blue, has tested this game on a 77K, and for now on both consoles we got this issue. Unfortunately, at this point I haven't got these extended loading screens, but I don't have any doubts that on the future they're gonna appear. And I got a good cycle there, because sometimes if you don't catch the good cycle and you receive damage or something like that, or you play kinda safely, and when you try to go for the orb on the way that I try to catch it, you're gonna be arriving at the moment when the TNT explodes. So usually that happens when you're on the Mad Dog pace for some reason, making that if you don't remember that, you're gonna receive physical damage and you're just gonna lose a life, and you're gonna waste more time trying to beat this. So now it's time to go to the second boss fight of the game, and well, I got a little extended loading screen, but believe me, the worst ones are when the screen gets fully black and looks like if the game has crashed or something like that. And well, this is Beagle's Boys Tower, the second boss of the game, and this is kinda similar like to the version 1 of the game, because on the other versions the game starts slightly, the stages are slightly different, also the music, the animations, the sound effects, everything changes, making that each game is kind of different. So now what those Beagle Boy is gonna do is it's gonna be throwing this wrecking ball in all the roof, and then the wrecking ball is gonna get stuck, and when he tries to repair it, you can kick his butt. Then he's gonna be mad, he's gonna be throwing some TNTs, but doing jumps like that can help a bit to avoid them, because again, the weird hitboxes that the game has cannot help a lot on that section. Now on the second phase, some parts of the roof are gonna fall down, and obviously also on the next phase, some parts of the roof are gonna fall down again. So now he's gonna get out again, I'm gonna kick him, and I'll just jump. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not a complicated boss, fortunately, but trying to avoid the TNTs can be sometimes tricky. Also, a good point of this is that every time that you play the game, the parts of the road that are gonna fall down are the same. So for this last phase, for some reason we're gonna have a kind of PS1 controller D-pad on the roof. The only parts of the roof that are not gonna fall down. But at the same time, just 3 times, the ball gets stuck, and there we go, last kick, and second boss defeated. Officially, we have beaten a half of the game for this category, and now it's gonna be time to start with the real challenge, with the real issues. Usually these stages are not complicated, except you with roof troops, as you have seen. But believe me, if you thought that for now the game was easy, you're somewhere wrong, my dude. Now we're gonna see the real challenge that the game has for us. And also the order of the stages doesn't matter a lot also in the game. Sometimes some runners of this game likes to start with the last stage of this warp room, which is Ghostly Path, because it's considered as the most hardest stage of this room, and is usually the stage where a lot of people has problems. We're gonna see that later. I like to go on the correct order of the stages. This doesn't matter a lot, but we're gonna see later what's gonna happen. Personally, I feel that the Lewis Creepy's corridor, which is the third stage of the song, is the most complicated. You are gonna be able to use that by yourself, guys, later. Okay. I thought that I was gonna fall down there. So that's the reason why I have moved in. I was lucky because I was gonna fall down also. And that was a good drop jump. It's so weird that happens. I think it's the first time that it happens to me. The good part is I have died so close to a checkpoint, so it's not gonna be a big deal, except on this point that now the milkshake was gonna be useful here and it's gonna make me save some time, and it's getting ownership damage because I got stuck with the wall. But it doesn't matter, I can deal with this. Anyways, on the invisibility mode, I need to jump over that guy. For some reason, because it's supposed that with invincibility pace, nobody can make you damage and you can make a lot of damage. Well, you can damage to anybody just touching the enemy, but that doesn't happen with that guy. You need to jump over them, even on the invincibility pace. And yes, Kingdom Hearts 3 looks lit. This is the real KH3. Okay, that was so close to be with that. And also, a good tip that I can give for this game is that if you're gonna hit an enemy, time your hits correctly. I should have made it a skip here, trying to jump and save some time, but since I'm on the Mad Dog base, I decided to do that. And again, the milkshake was gonna be helpful here, but I received damage, and I have missed some cycles into that. But it's not gonna be a big deal, this is the end of the stage. And this is another hiding orb, which is at the end. This is the second problematic orb for newcomers. I wanna assume this because, as we have seen, there was a toy close to it. So maybe the objective of the developers of the game was that when you go for the third toy, you're gonna watch the orb. So this is usually the second orb that the first newcomers of this game used to forget. And yes, this is Quack Attack. In all territories, this game was released. This game was released as Donald Duck Quack Attack. And this is good to mention because the game sold very well on all territories. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case in all America. Just to put an example, we know that for PS1 games, the second edition, which is the greatest hits, when the game has sold very well, has sold a certain amount of copies in a certain time, and Europe was platinum hits or something like that. But in all territories, this game was re-released as platinum hits, but that wasn't the case in America. This game never got a greatest hits edition, unfortunately. At the same time, this game, I want to assume that maybe in the United States, Mickey is more popular than Donald. That's not the case at all in Europe, because in most countries, Donald is more popular than Mickey. And besides of that, this version was so popular in Latin America. At that time, for the video game industry, America was considered as United States and Canada and Alaska sometimes. That was the reason why the games were just in English or some things in French. They never released the games in Brazilian Portuguese or Latin American Spanish, and the first games that were released in Spanish was in Spanish from Spain on Castilian Spanish. It wasn't a good experience for us at all, but that was the only way that we got to play video games in Spanish. And I can say proudly that thanks to the video games, I got a good motivation to learn English and trying to get better in the language also. I'm still having some real issues, but I hope that for now I haven't made any dumb mistake like the ones that I used to do with the English, and I'm gonna assume that because there's a certain people in the chat that help me sometimes when I got confused with the English and I said some bad words trying to refer that I haven't said them correctly, and it's not correcting me right now, so I'm gonna assume that I'm speaking. to this creepy corridor. I consider this as the most hardest stage of this. Well, not the most hardest, the most trickiest stage of this warp room. But in Ghostly Path, which is the next one, it's the most hardest stage. And well, I remember a lot of this game. This was one of the games that I used to play a lot when I was 5 years old. This with Pac-Man World and Crash Bandicoot 2 were the PS1 games that I played a lot when I was a kid. And funny enough, I run that 3 games. Maybe not the best runner, but I'm trying to do my best. And first of all, well, not first of all, because I have made a shadow before, and now I have more than a half of the run completed. I need to make a special shout out for Valuethon and for the Valuethon guys, for the staff in general, because I have submitted this game on marathons before, and unfortunately it has been rejected. And I'm glad that they are giving me the opportunity to showcase this game, because recently the game has received more activity, but on the N64 version. So if somebody wanna run the PS1 release, feel free to do it. If you have some questions or wanna have some tips of the game, feel free to send me a message. Recently we have opened a Discord server that's not very active, but we are gonna work into make it more active recently. Well, on next days. And it was my intention to catch that toy. And yes, every time you catch a toy, Donald moves his ass. One time when you catch 2 toys, but when you catch the 3rd one, he's gonna move his ass 3 times, which is pretty cool. Here I need to wait until this enemy comes here, because otherwise it's gonna make me damage, but I'm on the Mad Dog pace, and I haven't noticed since which moment I am on the Mad Dog pace. And this is a complicated section, so I'm gonna wait, because this last section is not good to be completed when you are on the Mad Dog pace. But well, anyway, this is the end. I have lost some seconds on that final section, but it's fine. I prefer to play it safely there, because otherwise I should have lost a life here, and then I need to go back to the checkpoint. So talking about lost time, it hasn't been a big deal. And now this is talking about the regular stages. This is the real nightmare for many runners of this game, Ghostly Path. The reason of this is because for some reason you are gonna find a lot of enemies, a lot of obstacles. Sometimes most of them on weird positions that are gonna give you less to no time to react. And also something that I forgot to mention about the game is that for some reason, every time you reach a checkpoint, the music changes, and I have lost a cycle there, unfortunately. It's not gonna be a big problem, because I'm so close to get a milkshake here. It's not gonna be helpful, obviously, for the invincibility pace, but it's gonna help a bit to keep going on the game, and I have to catch another time for some reason. I was close to die there. I'm glad that I haven't died. Well, we are watching right now why most of the runners of this game hates this stage. Well, most of the runners of this version. For the cycle, I should learn to bet. I don't want to lose more time. 3rd problematic orb. I'm gonna wait until this guy moves right here, and now I can leave. Okay, I catch the milkshake, that was good. It's just gonna be a little time where I'm gonna use it, but it's still being helpful. I'm just gonna skip this guy, because for some reason, if you move faster, that's gonna be the point where the effect of the invisibility is gonna finish. Hey, hello, everybody, who's coming to the chat, for everybody who is on the chat, everybody who is enjoying this run and is trying to go Quackers. Now we're gonna see that Donald is mad. And I forget if there's some checkpoint close to here, but anyways, it's not good. Well, I'm reaching the end of the stage. Okay, I haven't catched the milkshake, but this is the end of the stage, anyways. So I use this box to skip that last section, since there was one of the enemies that was moving on a chair. And if you think that that was a complicated stage, it was a complicated stage. But now it's time to watch the worst boss of all the game, which is Magica. Because it's kind of tricky to destroy her. Because what she's gonna do is first some enemies are gonna spawn. Okay, where does the enemy spawn? I don't know why the cycle changed. It's not supposed that enemy was gonna spawn there. And then you need to find the enemy. On this first round, there are just two, but unfortunately I received damage. And then she's gonna throw some firewalls. In this phase, she's just gonna do this 2 times. I need to be so careful. And also, this is the only boss that gives to you a milkshake. It's gonna give it to us when we defeat her on this second phase. Okay, 2. Where's the other guy? And also, there's a little window when you can see where the enemies are. So that's the first jump. The backup pace when you are mad is just to do this: keep jumping, keep moving and jumping. You can keep on the same spot and wait until she gets closer just to defeat her, but I don't recommend to do that because sometimes the game, again, the weird hitboxes that the game has cannot be helpful. Okay, 2. There's some more enemies. 3. Where's the last one? Okay, 4. 1. 2. 3. And 4. And there we go. Third boss fight. I'm so really glad that nothing really awful happened here, because I just get on a full rage mood on this boss fight when I died or something like that. I really hate this boss fight, to be honest. Now it's time to go to the last zone of the game. We visited the haunted houses. We are getting close to the end of the game. Also, when I submitted this game, if I remember correctly, I put an incentive to showcase the unlockable stages for the 112%. If I have done that, I'm glad that the staff really reject that incentive, because I don't know why did I submit that. Because that are the stages that I mostly hate about this game, because there are just auto-scrollers, and that auto-scroller stages just helps to unlock some costumes. So I'm gonna see if I can show that on a bit, that when you keep quiet, when you are using the regular Donald costume, he's gonna start to sleep and he's gonna start to think on Daisy. I think that there's a moment where I can do that. And again, another tricky jumps, and for safeness I prefer to stop for a bit and use the orb and duck. Take the orb, thanks. Okay, I'm really glad that I haven't submitted that, otherwise, if you guys have accepted it, that should have been a real nightmare for me. Well, I'm glad that I haven't submitted it. Or if I haven't submitted and you guys have rejected it, I should have been in love with you. Oh god. Okay. Another this section with the arrows is tricky. Okay. That wasn't a big problem. And also another of the reasons why I am really happy about getting this game accepted on this marathon, besides the fact that on most of the marathons this game has been rejected, it's because this is one of the games that have been grinding on this year because I want to submit it to AGDQ 2020. Okay, and I hit this enemy. And this is gonna help me to see the reception that this game has. Also, that enemy with the masks are the worst enemies for me, because they have a weird hitbox zone. Also, if Donald keeps quiet where he's mad, he's gonna try to fight somebody else. Let me see if I can get there. Okay, I got it. Oh man, that was something really good. I'm glad that I haven't died there, because usually with that guys with that masks, I have found that if you try to hit them on the right corner, on the up on the enemy, you can defeat them. Otherwise, you're gonna receive damage. And I am glad that I haven't received damage there, because usually if you receive damage there and you try to beat that enemy, you die. You're gonna go so back to the last checkpoint, and you're gonna waste like 15 seconds. I'm really glad that hasn't happened. And I don't remember if that happened on my PB. I think that it happened, that I have died. I'm not so sure. I got my PB like 9 months ago, and I don't remember exactly what happened down there. Tried to avoid it, but it was good. Yeah. I wanted to clap myself there, because I was really glad that nothing bad happened. This ice doesn't cooperate. Okay. Nothing bad happened. And also, another cool thing about this game is that, as we can see, on each stage, believe me, even on the last stage, we're gonna see more enemies. We're gonna see new enemies. That's something I really like about the game. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in which stage you are. You're gonna see new obstacles and new enemies, and also new soundtrack. That's a really cool part of the game. At the same time, something really weird. Mostly for the part of the soundtrack, because after each checkpoint the music changes. Maybe you cannot notice that because it sounds similar. It's so similar, but if you play the game casual and you wait a bit before you reach a checkpoint, you're gonna hear that the music is different than the one that you're listening to it right now. It's a cool part of the game. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot went Quackers. That's the reason that now he looks like a duck right now. And I don't know why I have received that much. Okay, never mind. I don't think that I'm gonna lose so much time. I'm gonna waste like 10 seconds. It's fine. I'm not gonna complain. That was my mistake, because for some reason my mind thought that I was on the invisibility phase. And that was good, because when you receive damage and you are on when you receive damage, you have a 2 seconds window where you can receive damage also. And if on that window you try to catch the milkshake is just gonna disappear. And you're gonna keep on the Mad Dog phase. And this last section is tricky also. Okay, that was good. Okay, that made me lose like 15 between 15 to 20 seconds. Not a big deal. The next stage, it's a stage that I like to name it as the last choke, because usually it's the last stage where I used to fail. That doesn't mean that I'm not gonna fail on the last stage, but the Nephews Murky Way, it's kinda tricky sometimes also. But Ancient Fate also, it's a weird stage on the point of the music that changes, and I'm gonna explain that later, and we're gonna pay attention to that also. Okay, I don't know what happened in the double jump there. Okay, But I wouldn't thought that I was gonna fall down because it's supposed that I should have hit the enemy. Okay, that was good, that was good. Oh my god, now you're gonna see why I call this as the last choke. And yes, funny enough, at the time that this game was released, and also nowadays, a lot of people keep saying that this game is a kind of Crash Bandicoot clone because, believe it or not, it is. Mostly it's similar to Crash Bandicoot 3, talking about the game concept. Yes, you use warp rooms, the way that you move and control the owner is kind of similar to the game design of Crash Bandicoot Warped. And I am a runner of Crash Bandicoot also. If I remember correctly, I have run Crash 3 and Snow Brothers at last Valuethon, but I missed the cycle. I jump here to try to avoid these fireballs. If you are lucky like me, you can move faster because you haven't reached the cycle where the fireball spawns. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the last problematic orb. And okay, I was lucky, I haven't died there. I don't think that I need to explain what that orb was problematic. I hope that you have, with what have you seen, you get your own conclusion about why did I say that it was a complicated orb. Well, not complicated, it was a problematic orb. Now it's time to go to Ancient Fate, the last regular stage. We're getting close to the end of this run. As you have seen, this game is not so long. And well, maybe it can take more time to beat it casually at 112%. Maybe if you decide to finish the game on a stage, you are gonna be able to beat it at 112% in like 3 or 4 hours. Now, Ancient Fate, last stage. Last opportunity to choke, and I hope that I don't choke it. And as I've said before, new obstacles, new enemies. Dude, this is a definitive platforming game. Talking about 3D titles of the 5th gen. This game is full of surprises and full of good moments to be mad. That you feel that you wanna, I don't know, that you wanna press the check button on the console and break the disc. But I don't do that because I was lucky into finding a copy of this game in my country, in Mexico. I have looked for some of them on eBay and I haven't found many. And the few that I have found got a very expensive shipment. So if you want to run the game, try to catch a copy of this game. You can run it also on emulator, but if you want to run it on console, feel free to do it, and I'm gonna be glad if you do that because we need to keep doing some testings about this console. I want to get a fat PS2 and I want to see if I get extended loading screens on the console. But besides of the fact that extended loading screens, you can save time comparing this with emulator runs or standard disk speed. That jump with the bug is tricky, but it's not complicated to do. Now here I'm gonna jump because a fireball is gonna spawn, and also that's one of the most trolling moments. You need to be careful a lot on this game. And that's something that took me a lot of time to realize that, because most of the time I receive damage there. There's some music here, but the point of that is just to don't receive damage. And what I have said with the music before that, it changes. Now we're gonna see the most weirdest change on a beat, because instead of change to the regular soundtrack, for some reason it's gonna change to another song. Just listen to this. Yeah, for some reason it changed it to the actual Warbrim music. I don't know why that happened. But thinking about the design of this game, I'm not really surprised. And now, ceremonial room, very last stage of the game. Obviously, the last boss fight. Now it's time to defeat Murloc. It's not gonna be an hard task to beat him. First, some part of the floor are gonna fall down. These are RNG based, but it's not complicated to check which of them are the ones that are gonna fall down, because you can see that they're gonna start to rumble. Then first warp at a firewall, and then when the shield goes down, you hit him. Now we're gonna have two different patterns of firewalls on the next phase. So please be ready with the time, because we're getting close to the end. So this is the second hit. The time is gonna finish once I hit Murloc for the third time. So we need to wait for two firewalls. Well, for two patterns of firewalls. This is the first. This is the second. Time is gonna come on some second, so please be ready. And time.
What's going on with my machine?
And well, that was Donald Duck going Quackers, any percent PS1. Whoa, 51? That's a PB! Oh my god. I wasn't expecting that, dude. That was really amazing. Oh my god. I have been trying to get a PB on this game since a long time ago, and well, I'm glad that now that I'm having the opportunity to run this game in a marathon, I got a PB. I'm so happy, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, that's a PB. It's really, really amazing, really cool. So now I wasn't watching to my splits, so I'm gonna check them. And 5101, maybe that was a 51 flat. I'm gonna do a retime because I pressed late the splitting button, so I'm gonna wait until the bot of this run gets highlighted, and then I'm gonna be the retime. But the point is, whatever it was, a 51 flat or a 51, wait 1 second, I'm glad this was a PB for 10 or 11 seconds. Some minor mistakes, and I see that I got some gold. I got 3 gold, so I'm glad of this. And yes, that hasn't helped to cut more time, but maybe in the future I'm gonna be able to do it. Anyways.
Brilliant! Hey, maybe that's a nickel.
Well, I think that now it's the moment to say some last words. But as we can see now, we see which was the evil Wizard Murloc plans. That was to make a machine that creates chocolate, well, creates popcorn mixed with chocolate. So all the time this was the evil plan of Murloc. And well, Daisy was rescued, and we discovered the plans from the evil Wizard Murloc. And well, which is our next round? Let me watch really quick. The next round that we're gonna have is Moss, run by Shitbird. And well, this was everything by my part on this marathon. Again, thanks to the staff for giving me the opportunity to run this game. And now that I see that they tag this as retro, the game, you can find the game on Twitch as Disney's Donald Duck and Quackers. But anyways, thank you everybody for watching the run. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'm just gonna wait until the highlight has been done in order to submit this PB, and I'm gonna keep grinding this obviously. But well, anyways, thanks for watching, and see you guys. Peace.